All right, let's get to Meta's topic then.
All right, so I think we like samurai. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
You're wrong.
Okay, well, I guess I was wrong then.
Go home.
But for those of us who actually do like samurai, then you'll be probably pleased to know that Nioh obviously just came out with its newest DLC, the Dragon of the North.
Who's that?
Well, it's a dragon, and he's in the north, and he's a really cool guy, and he's a really cool dragon, and he dragons things above. So there you go.
He's neat in.
Yeah.
Dragon Bow?
Yeah,
Or
Dragon
Bro?
Bow. No, the DLC actually takes us to the northern areas, to the Tono and whatnot. And it is dealing with Date Masamune, who was one of the lords during the Sengoku period. He was pretty much at the most northern tip of Japan. He was a pretty cool guy, but ironically enough, he didn't actually have huge influence on the war, although he did definitely prove he was a pretty baller guy when he was able to defeat the Uesugi. Yeah, Uesugi.
Kenshin Uesugi.
Yeah.
And his horse has tailpipes on it, right?
Yes, his horse has tailpipes on it, and he revs it every now and then. He's got bars to make sure it rides properly. But yeah, no, he shows up in this DLC. The whole conflict is kind of dealing with them. The DLC what?
I was gonna say, is this? Can you get to it before or after? The
No, you have to play through the game to get to it.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm aware, you have to, but I mean, somebody could correct me on it. But I'm fairly certain you do have to play through the game to get it. It came out with a couple of things, and it also came out with patch notes. But the most important thing to know is that it came out with obviously some new yokai. It came out with obviously more missions. The whole package in total for story missions, at least, is only 3, which is kind of disappointing. Thought there was going to be more to it, but it's not. So
yeah, that is a little sad.
Well, it's free, isn't it?
it is not free.
No.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
How much is it?
That is also a very good question because I bought the season pass, so I didn't have to pay for that. But I would likely guess I can just look it up here real fast.
Just keep talking. I'll look it up.
Okay, yeah, just there you go. Perfect. It did come with, as I stated, a new patch as well with some extra features, which I'm going to read off to you as well. You got some new Guardian Spirits, about 2 of them. You got new weapons in there, new armor. It didn't really add in. It added some new armor sets. Obviously, one of the biggest things it added in was the Odachi, one of the new weapon types you can actually swing around. I enjoyed the crap out of it personally, but everybody's going to have their own opinion on that. But it's just this giant arse sword. It kind of falls into line of what the axe does, being this kind of power-heavy move weapon. But unlike the axe, where it's all about just brutal, uncaring strikes to your opponent's defense or lack thereof.
And the axe doesn't care if you get hit and stuff.
Yeah, the axe gives you kind of like the axe enhances like super armor and whatnot. So being hit while you're wielding the axe, on top of wearing like heavy armor, pretty much just means you're never going to get interrupted by anything. The Nodachi kind of falls into that. It's a little bit more dexterous than I would say the axe is. The biggest thing about the Odachi is the fact that it has a lot of stance dancing to it. You can unlock some skills on it, and what it'll do is that if you end your combo with either a certain button press or a certain move, it'll transition you into a different stance. So you could be in the mid stance and swinging.
Oh, that's cool.
And if you press like your heavy button at the end of the combo, it'll transition you to the to a heavy stance strike that will add on top of it.
That almost makes me think of the Switch Axe, I think it's called, from Monster Hunter. A little bit.
I don't know. I never played it, so I couldn't say. But
yeah, it seems like this one it lets you combo even more than before.
Yeah.
I mean,
other weapon.
it's still a combo ender. You just transitions you into that stance, but the ability to transition into them is very nice, and it also allows you to kind of like decide if you want to get the extra swing in, or if you want to end on that stance, or if you want to, because you can even go in early. I mean, you could press like the regular attack once and then transition with a heavy attack as the second part of the swing. So. It gives you a lot of freedom. Beyond that, it has bonuses against human players, human characters in the game. When you win the Odachi, you'll get extra damage against them. It also increases your grapple damage, so you can buff those up there. Its special abilities, it has an Iaijutsu slash, which I was really surprised by.
Weird.
It was a little bit weird, yeah, but it has one of the longest reaching Iaijutsu slashes, I would say. It's pretty potent too. So take it for what it is. It's not as good as the single katana, but it's there. It does have a pretty cool move where the animation where you'll do these kind of like heavy swings, and you'll see kind of like petals come off of it that are like lotus petals, and then you'll see like sakura petals afterwards on the second and the third part of the animation. So it's really cool. But beyond that, it kind of takes, like I said, it takes kind of a stance between being an axe and a single katana. It has a lot of stuff where there's a lot of things in there that definitely give you bonuses against targets when they either have like no key left or you're kind of able to overpower them. But it also has some finesse to it with like the stance changing and whatnot. So it's a very fun weapon, but it is still slow. It kind of takes that, unfortunately, from the axe. And its AoE potential, I think, is fine, but you are kind of limited to, if you're in a group fight, you kind of do need to use just the middle stance otherwise, because all the other attacks tend to not have a lot of horizontal prowess to them. So, but it's pretty fun.
Have you beaten it yet, the DLC?
Oh yeah, I already beat it.
How long was it?
It's not long. I would say, maybe if you take your time, collect everything, go through it, make sure you're checking out every route and whatnot, I would say it might take you 4 hours.
Wow.
So
$10 is the cost of it, by the way.
Yeah. So there's that. That said, the patch did bring more than just, with that DLC. It brought along an online PvP mode, which I'll just say right now, personally, it sucks.
Yeah, that's what I read earlier on Kotaku before,
it is
saying it just doesn't really work.
No.
Basically.
The general strategy is that there are just certain moves that either simply just overcome players because of how potently strong it is, how it comes out, how it can trip you up. Magic, again, with certain spells are just completely busted. If you get hit by it, it's a huge penalty to you, so on and so forth. There's a lot of things that you've done, and then there's just the issue that the network itself is pretty poor. There's a lot of people, you can see in a lot of videos up there, there's a lot of people who are having the problem of where they'll look like they're moving and whatnot, and then all of a sudden they'll be pulled back to the position because the game was like, no, you were hit, so you're actually going to be here so that you show you got hit.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that is a shame. You do get combat titles for it, though, and you do get some stuff for it. The 2 new Guardian Spirits are actually very cool. I like them a lot. They're very interesting. You also get to actually have 2 Guardian Spirits now, which is pretty badass. The second Guardian Spirit that you'll be able to choose for your slot, it doesn't do much for you. It only adds a passive bonus on one of its skills that's kind of like a heritage skill. That'll vary depending on which spirit you're utilizing. And then there's generally what's considered a combination bonus, where depending on what spirits you have chosen, you'll get some extra passive, like 2% more key regeneration or a little bit more wind damage. It's not a lot, and truth be told, the passive bonuses are really, that like set bonus of the combination of the two is really just there to be helpful, and a very, very minute way. It will not factor really into what you choose. You do also get to now finally play as female characters. You can go in and finally buy female character models and then transform William into one of them. So you can run around as Okatsu, the ninja, Gensho Tachibana, or as, yes, Mal put it,
Tachibana.
Or you can have the best waifu there is, Blacksmith waifu. So
that is correct.
Blacksmith waifu, don't be like that, Obs. So they added new gestures. You can get, obviously, as I said before, new equipment sets, bonuses. They added actually new skills for every category, although the only ones that technically really are interesting are the ninjutsu and the omyo magic skills. The samurai skills are just new passive ones, not counting the whole new odachi set. They're just passives that'll either increase range damage, barehanded damage, or melee damage. So that's it. They're very passive, and I wouldn't bother with it unless you are already done with that route, and now you are just going to go that.
So it sounds to me like more the update isn't mostly about the new content. It's more changing the way that you can play the game, I guess. That's like the biggest thing, based on what I'm hearing from you.
Well, there's not a lot that was actually added to help change the game, though, beyond the odachi itself and the new ways for the Spirit Guardians. It's kind of the...
Yeah, with like only 4 hours of new story, though.
Yeah.
It's like and that's with exploring. That's not like a super huge DLC.
I wouldn't say it changes the way. I would say there are new routes you can take, but it doesn't fundamentally change how the game is, at least your choices for how you're playing this game. But you've got new items, like you can now throw a fire pitch jar at people, and it'll set them ablaze,
Yeah,
which is pretty nice.
New stuff and new skills.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
basically
that's
what
pretty much what it is.
It
Yeah.
seems like that's like the coolest new thing that's in
Yep.
the patch and in the DLC.
Yep. That was part of the free update. There were some bug fixes that were in there. There was actually a fair amount. They did adjust certain difficulties for bosses and the like. You can find all the patch updates on Reddit itself. If you go to the Nioh Reddit, you can find them there. Tons of bug updates. They did do some changes to creatures. They changed some stats, how things work. They even modified how certain abilities work or how bonuses might affect your character's value. So you can just read all through there and see how it is in that and whatnot. The one thing, though, I want to state is that the biggest thing that they did do was they added on another new game plus called Way of the Demon. In this mode, you can now finally collect higher level gear. You can go up to plus 20 on your gear, and your enemies have insane bonuses to them. They will oftentimes, you can come across creatures like where they will have like triple debuffs. One might hit you and all of a sudden you're on fire, you're also poisoned, and you have the sloth spell now cast upon you just because you got hit once.
That's brutal.
It's very brutal. I haven't had a chance to really play tons of it, but enemies are no joke in there. They'll beat you up if you're not careful. So personally, I've enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing it. I'm a little sad that there was only 3 stages in there, although I understand why they did it. What is interesting, though, is that the DLC seems to be in and of itself leading into a bigger story, because this DLC ends and then it leads into essentially more story that complements this DLC. So the DLCs themselves seem to be, in effect, a full story once all of them are out. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for will be the case. It hints at that at the end of it. I won't tell you how, because obviously I don't want to ruin it for anybody who has not played it yet. But it is very fun. It is very worthwhile. Oh, one other thing they did change. The levels. The max level is now 400. It used to be 750, but they changed it to 400. So now you actually have to carry put your points at.
Diminishing returns, man. It sounds like probably something you got more your bang, that you personally got more your bang for your buck on, since you got the season pass. People who are buying individually, you're probably gonna.
I would say to all the. Yeah.
It doesn't sound like something I would spend $10 on personally.
It's yeah. I mean, that's always going to be a thing about DLC, which is it worth your own cash or whatnot? I mean, that's definitely something to talk about. I think in the future.
Could be worse. It could be Fire Emblem, where it costs more than the game.
God, yeah. Well, that's a discussion for another time.
That's Nintendo.
If you're willing to enhance your game, this is definitely a way to do it. If you want to get the new, the only thing I think is kind of a downside is that the only way to get the new game plus is to get the DLC, which is kind of a little bit annoying. In order to play Way of the Demon, you have to buy the DLC. Otherwise, you are just stuck to Way of the Strong is your hardest difficulty.
Yeah, that's what sucks about Zelda too, because the only way to play hard mode on it is to get the DLC that's about to come out.
Yeah, that's a little bit frustrating.
That stinks.
Yeah, I do not like that, but that's what they want.
Maybe we're seeing another trend.
Yeah, God. So there's a lot more, like I said, about the patches. You can check it out. I don't want to bog you down with all the information, but there's some cool stuff in there. I would definitely read it up. There's a lot of information. You can go to the Reddit, like I said. There you have tons of people posting up about everything. Although, again, I think the biggest disappointment was definitely the PvP. But I don't know. I was talking with somebody of mine about that when I went into it. I'm going to stick with what I said. I said, this game was not designed with PvP in mind. I don't know what they think they're going to do when they bring PvP in here, but it is not going to be fair. They're going to be very clearly defined best builds.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be like Dark Souls kind of stuff, basically. That's what they're trying to do.
I think so, too, but I think they need this is definitely an area they need to work on. I mean, the single player works fantastic, but
I feel like Dark Souls 2 did have a little bit in mind, though, for player balance, at least in 2 and 3.
I know there were issues with 2 when it came out. There was a lot of latency.
2 actually has the best PvP.
And it's the worst regarded for its PvE.
Yep.
That's hilarious.